Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Football Suite Chat Show. I'm of course your host Leon, and with me always is co-host Richard and head of social media Andrew. How have you been this weekend, guys?
Yeah, not bad. Just same old, working really.
That's how it is. The topics we're going to be discussing today are the match analysis from the weekend's games, some great goals that were scored as well. Obviously, goals against Chelsea, which wasn't that very nice to watch, but oh well. The next topic will be English players and transfer/contract dealings. You know, we've seen it recently in the news with Raheem Sterling rejecting a huge contract offer. You know, we're going to be discussing that. And the final topic will be Sky versus BT, our opinion on who's the better broadcaster and why. So we'll get started off with the match analysis, and we'll start off with a brilliant performance from Arsenal, a 4-1 victory over Liverpool, where some great goals were scored. Andrew, why don't you start us off with that?
Yeah, sure. It was a great win for Arsenal. I think against the Liverpool side, who are good themselves. They've been in some form. Before the Man United game, they were topped to finish in the top four, and maybe that might not happen now. But they are a good side, regardless. In terms of the match, for me personally, I think it was more 8 minutes of craziness at the end of the first half, as opposed to a very dominant performance that a 4-1 would kind of say to you. We mentioned before we started the show is you made a good point, Leon, about Markovic with Sterling. I mean, at that point when it's 0-0, if that ball's has a bit less on it and Sterling tucks it in the back of the net, we're looking at a completely different game. So, I mean, as an Arsenal fan, you have to be happy with it, of course. I mean, you're beating Liverpool 4-1. Like, this stuff doesn't happen every week, but you've also got to remember that it wasn't an amazing performance where everybody was a 10 and they absolutely battered Liverpool for 90 minutes. It was a close game until the goal started going in. Yeah. But, I mean, in terms of being an Arsenal fan, I'm very happy with it. And I think it should be a good stepping stone to get in top four.
Yeah, definitely. And also at a time when you sort of need to pick up those wins to sort of battle for top four, as it were, you know, these results happen. Obviously, when luck goes on your side, you know, that's one of the great things about football. But, you know, like we're saying, with Raheem Sterling, you know, I really felt that match. I saw him working his hardest trying to get to people to really
contract from Arsenal.
I don't know about that, but definitely sort of trying to close people's mouths, you know, really trying to silence people with his performance, because I felt like he was one of the only people that was actually working hard to get a result that match.
I agree he was working hard, but I mean, I saw I don't know if you guys saw it, the statistics from, I think Opta produced them about Raheem Sterling's performance, but I mean, he had nothing in terms of statistics. He didn't really play. I understand completely what you mean. And statistics can be shown one way and not show another. Like, in terms of he ran around, like, he put his effort in 100%. But just in terms of the statistics of what he did, they were actually quite low for what I expected of Raheem Sterling.
Do you think that was a collective more than a sort of individual? Because, you know, I don't think anyone particularly stood out on the Liverpool side of that match. You know, there was a good few Arsenal players that did stand out. You know, Sanchez, as he always does, Coquelin, but there wasn't. I don't even think one Liverpool player which I thought played well. What did you think of the match, Richard?
I just thought it was. Look, at the end of the day, I mean, Liverpool have come up in the last couple of weeks against two teams that are in form, scoring goals, playing well. A collective unit of a team, not just a couple of individual players. The collective unit through, from back four right through to the strikers. And Liverpool have come up against an informed good team, and they've not had an answer for it. United steamrolled them in the first 45 minutes. To be fair, took the foot off the gas when they went 2-0 up, and Liverpool were down to 10 men.
Super Stevie.
Well, the pleasing thing was Arsenal didn't do that. Arsenal could have quite comfortably gone in at half-time, as they were 3-0 up, come out in the second half, just passed the ball about, saw the rest of the game out, but they didn't. They carried on creating chances, and to be fair, it could have been more. I know Danny Welbeck had a couple of chances after it had gone 4-1. He could have made it 5-1. But I just think, look, Liverpool had one good season, and too many people were on the back of that. We're on the tailcoat of Liverpool having a good season, and everyone going into this campaign, pundits and whatever else going on, that Liverpool are going to, win the league this year, and they weren't just a one-man team in Suarez, and they were a one-man team. They continue to be a one-man team, and that's why Sterling is doing what he's doing. He knows very well that if he goes to Chelsea and Arsenal, a Man United, a Man City, a Real Madrid, Barcelona, he'll get offered more than $100,000 a week. He's Liverpool's best player. Mario Balotelli, again, feigned injury at the weekend, so he didn't have to travel. Steven Gerrard's on his way to America. Suarez has gone. Jordan Henderson's come into his own a little bit, but you'd say that Sterling's probably the brightest spark and the biggest name they've got, the biggest threat. So why not try and hold out for a ridiculously high contract, or at least hold the club to ransom like Wayne Rooney did with United? Wayne Rooney knew he was United's best player. They couldn't afford to lose him, so in the end they give him what he wanted. Yeah,
definitely. But I definitely agree with what you're saying, and obviously when we saw that Liverpool match, there's a couple of players injured at the moment. Lallana, Sturridge. Okay, Sturridge, I don't think would have made a big difference. But do you think maybe Lallana would have made a difference in that match? A few of the players that they've brought, they haven't really settled, but we've seen Lallana, come into his own a bit recently, and at the moment, Liverpool are missing that spark. And
Liverpool have played nobody in form, though. The last 10 games, they've beat Aston Villa. Pretty much everybody's taken points off Aston Villa this season. They've played West Ham. They drew with Everton. They drew the derby, a big game. They drew with Everton, who aren't playing well. They beat Spurs. They beat Southampton. They beat Man City. These teams aren't in form. They beat Burnley, who are bottom of the league. They've beat Swansea. They've come up against Manchester United and Arsenal, who are in form, fighting for something. These four teams still that can win the Premier League. They've come up against two teams. Arsenal don't want to finish fourth. Everyone jokes and says that Arsene Wenger, is happy finishing fourth. Arsenal fans don't want to finish fourth. Arsenal fans want to finish first. Arsenal fans want to finish second. They don't want to be the team that comes fourth every year and has to qualify for the Champions League. So they're fighting for something. And Liverpool have come up against two teams that are fighting for something, and everybody in the press has said they're going to steamroll. All the press, all the pundits, your Paul Mersons, your Robbie Savages, were Alan Hansons. Liverpool are going to be too fast, they're going to be too strong, they're going to be too dominant for Manchester United, and Manchester United played them off the park. The same again, they were a wounded animal now. They've been beaten by the bitter rivals. Arsenal aren't going to know what's hit them. Liverpool didn't know what had hit them. Arsenal played them off the park.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
they've come up against decent teams that are in form. And I know they've played Man City in the last 10 games, but if you look at Man City's last 10 games themselves, they're not an informed team. They've lost 3, drawn 3, and won 4.
Yeah.
So, again, City, come up against a decent team as in Arsenal, got beat, drew with Chelsea, got beat by Liverpool because Liverpool were in form. They've come up against two teams that are in form, and it's fell away. And that's what Liverpool won't finish fifth. Liverpool will not finish fifth. Liverpool will now continue to drop away out of the top 5 or 6 teams in the Premier League because they're not a top 4 Premier League team. They're not good enough.
Like obviously we're seeing this season how much they're missing Suarez, but what do you think's the sort of replacement for Suarez at the moment? Because there doesn't seem to be a sort of Suarez player available at the moment. It's not just to sort of spend 60 million on a player and he'll replace a certain player. Suarez was an outstanding player, and you don't really see a lot of them free at the moment.
Because Suarez is a one-off. Suarez is a one-off. Wayne Rooney is a one-off. You don't. These players don't just. They're not available all day, every day. They're a one-off player. Lionel Messi, your Zinedine Zidane's, your Thierry Henry's. These are one-off players. Liverpool had a one-off player, and they couldn't keep that one-off player happy. He wanted to leave, and it wasn't the same situation as United and Ronaldo. Ronaldo always wanted to play for Real Madrid, and United got the best out of Ronaldo, and then eventually he moved on, and he's continued to be a world beater. But with Suarez, if Liverpool would have accepted Arsene Wenger's £40 million and a pound bid, he'd have gone. He'd have gone to Arsenal. He wanted out of that football club. He begged to leave. You've got Mario Balotelli there now that clearly doesn't want to play football for that football club. These rumours in the press that the players don't want to play for Rodgers. You've got your captain of your football club in the biggest game of the season when you know you're going to go the season without winning anything, to turn around and say, well, at least we took 3 points off Manchester United. The captain of your football club to come out and first of all, the first tackle is he goes in to hurt Juan Mata. Luckily, he wins the ball and Juan Mata doesn't roll around on the floor like most footballers do these days. They get up and they get on with it. Second of all, for no apparent reason whatsoever, he purposely wanted to hurt a player. And that's your captain of your football club. Yeah,
I know what you mean, definitely.
There's something not right in that football club for all these top quality players to want to move on. And it is simply down to the fact that they're not good enough. They don't have a good enough squad to go on and continue to win things. If Liverpool Football Club was the force in world football that every single pundit in the world seems to think they are, the likes of Sterling wouldn't be coming out in the papers and then doing TV interviews to say he's not signing a new contract and he doesn't care how much money they offer him. He wants to go somewhere to win trophies. That lad's just put himself in the shop window. That lad now has made every single football club that's interested in him know that he wants to leave Liverpool. So now Liverpool don't have a leg to stand on. If the right money is bid for him, he will go in the summer. Because Liverpool risk losing him on a free transfer in 20 months.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll get on to the next match. There's great analysis of that match. But Manchester United, Aston Villa, we saw Wayne Rooney score a fantastic goal. And would you say a comfortable win for United?
I think it was, yeah. I think it was, obviously, I think it took a lot longer for the first goal to come, and obviously the second goal, I think it would have been a bit more comfortable if we'd have played the way we played against Liverpool for the first 45 minutes. But I think it's just one of them where that happens in football. You can dominate and you just don't get the break. Once the first goal went in, even when it went 2-1 within a few minutes of United going 2-0 up, you didn't really think Aston Villa were going to come back and get a draw or a win. There was only Manchester United going to win that game. And I think on Saturday's game was a bigger game for me than it was for the Liverpool and the Tottenham, because they were games that nobody was expecting us to win, and we've gone and we've destroyed two really good footballing teams on paper in form, and we've played them off the park.
Definitely.
And then obviously you've got to go on and keep that form and beat Aston Villa, which is what we've done. The pressure now all of a sudden is on Man City in the derby.
Do you think this could also sort of push United forward to get in that top 4 spot? Do you think you could qualify for the Champions League? Do you think, because these results are the ones that really matter, grinding out results and getting results against him that make it difficult for you, because Aston Villa aren't one of them teams that are going to go away from home and going to give you a real challenge. But I'm saying that, it probably happen to Chelsea next time we play them at home. But when Aston Villa go away, they're not particularly great at home at the moment. So to get a win against a team that are probably going there to snatch a draw at best, do you think those are the results that really sort of count?
Yeah, I think they are. And I think the top 4 will stay as it is now. I think you'll see United, Arsenal and City chop and change a little bit. The massive pressure on Manchester City tonight. if Manchester City don't take 3 points this evening, if they get a draw and they remain a point behind Arsenal, level on points with Manchester United, and they lose the derby next week, all of a sudden we're talking about Man City falling out of the top four.
Yeah, and that's obviously going to be a really big talking point if we see that, and obviously that 4 spots up for grabs if City don't take the points. Well,
it's a really exciting run into the end of the season. It's probably the most exciting one. There is technically 4 teams that can still win the Premier League. Chelsea don't look 100% comfortable at the moment. I personally don't think we've looked comfortable since late December, but you're still winning games.
That's the comforting thing. We're winning games ugly. As much as I can imagine for other fans of clubs, and frustrating for Chelsea fans as well. It's frustrating to watch, but the only thing that matters are the 3 points.
Exactly. I mean, look at Arsenal. Arsenal are looking unbelievably dominant at the moment. Man United are looking extremely good at the moment. Extremely good. If we hadn't have dropped points against West Ham and Swansea, Manchester United would be currently 2 points behind Chelsea, second in the league. Look at Arsenal. If they don't lose the game against Spurs, I know it's a tough point for Arsenal fans, but if they don't lose that game against Spurs, they're 4 points behind Chelsea.
But I think that's also the great thing about football, isn't it? Like, ideally, we would all love to pick up points against teams that we should beat, but it never happens. Last season when all Liverpool needed was a draw and they'd have won the league, but Chelsea took points off them and then it sort of broke apart.
Exactly.
The last points of the season.
That's exactly what could happen now with Manchester City. If they don't win tonight, they go into the derby level on points with Manchester United when, however many games ago, they were 10, 15 points clear. And they were right on the coattails of Chelsea. Whereas now they're 9 points behind.
Yeah, definitely. Right, we'll get on to the next match, the last match of our analysis, and it's going to be the Tyne-Wear derby. Andrew, what did you think of this match? Sunderland nicking the win for the 5th time in a row. Do you think this is really a sort of a difficult one for Newcastle fans to take because it hasn't been the season that they want to remember?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got family who live in the northeast, and they do not just take it on the chin when they lose to Sunderland. It's a dramatic thing. It's a horrible thing, and to do it 5 times in a row. I know for a fact they don't like that. They don't like that fact. But also, it's in a time where Newcastle, things wasn't going well with Pardew. Fans wanted him out. He's gone, so they've got what they wanted. But things aren't really peachy as it is around the whole club, and everyone's a bit down at the club. They're not buying players. They're not improving the squad. Overall, it's not a good time to be a Newcastle United fan, and to just finish off the season, they're not expecting to win anything this season. Well, they can't now, obviously, but they're not expecting to win anything now. So a win against your main rivals, it could finish the season nice and bright, and they lose. And it's also a terrible game as well. It's Newcastle put nothing forward and don't even look like winning at all. And then to see the whole controversy of your goalkeeper joking around with the person who scored the wonder goal at half-time as well. It's really not good, is it? Well, no, yeah, exactly. It's tough. And you made a good point there, the fact that I think when you lose a derby, it's very tough and you have very much pent-up anger at losing to obviously your nearest rival. But then it's like you say, when you don't even turn up, because that's all you want as a supporter, is you want your team to kind of be there, be in the match. If they lose, fair enough. You might be able to get over it as long as they played well. But to not turn up, and it's like that. It's that time of the year as well where kind of your Newcastles and West Hams are kind of safe, so they're playing for nothing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
A lot of these players, the analogy is they're on the beach, so they're basically looking forward to the summer, and they're just. I think that's the problem. I think because it must be frustrating as a Newcastle fan, because you make a good point. The fact that the owner kind of won't put money into the club, he'll put enough just so that they'll always make a profit. but it'll never be reinvested, and they get 52,000 a week at home matches, and it's like it must be tough to be a Newcastle fan because they deserve so much more just because of the fan base alone.
Yeah, considering as much as they've got a great group of fans because they're a huge city, and they're a club which is basically a huge club. It's like having one club in London. So you're always going to have that great support. So you've always got an income of that, and I've heard from fans that, ticket prices aren't great. And, it's all things building up. And if I was a Newcastle United fan, I couldn't, as much as, you've got to support your club through the hard times, but I wouldn't see anything that's making me want to go because, you're continuously seeing negativity around the club. It's not. There was a time when Shearer was there, and Andy Cole and stuff like that, and there was some good football being played, and it was close with United that year. But ever since that, they've sort of faded. They're not a team that's ever going to get close to winning anything. They're not a team that's going to get close to winning the Champions League the way things are going on. Richard, what can you see of this getting resolved? Do you think new owner or?
Look, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think that the difficult thing is that for some strange reason, Newcastle fans think they've got the divine right to be in the Premier League and to be challenging and to be winning things. And that's all come down from the fact that they did nearly win the Premier League once, and they did play well for a few seasons. Yeah, their fans have they think they've got this divine right to be a top football club, and they're not a top football club. They had a good season. Look at Blackburn Rovers; they won the Premier League. Where are Blackburn Rovers now? Everyone was saying it would be a tragedy if Newcastle United get relegated from the Premier League. Why? If you get relegated from the Premier League, it's because you're not good enough. Yeah. It's as simple as that. It doesn't make a difference whether you're Newcastle, whether you're Leicester City, whether you're Burnley, whether you're Manchester United, whether you're Liverpool. It doesn't make a difference. If you're simply not good enough over those 38 games, then you get relegated. It's as simple as that.
Obviously, we've seen them sell some quite good players in the last few months and, last few years, we'll say. And like Johan Cabaye, but Johan Cabaye isn't a world beater.
Yeah, but look at Cabaye. He's left the football club to go and sit on the bench somewhere else.
Yeah.
That purely, either that lad is purely only motivated about money because he'd get paid more by PSG than he will do by Newcastle, or there's something fundamentally wrong at that football club where a footballer would rather go and sit on the bench and play sporadically than actually play week in, week out. There's talk of Cabaye now going to Arsenal in the summer for 10 million. What did PSG spend on him? Was it 20 odd million?
I'm not too sure actually, but do you think that's Andrew? Do you think this is a sort of mentality of players? They'd rather be a sub and win a trophy than play week in, week out at a club that you won't win anything at. You might nab the sort of the League Cup, the FA Cup, but you're never going to win the Champions League. You're never going to win the Premier League. Do you think this is one of the cases of that with Cabaye that we've seen?
I think it's an aspect. I think we've also got to appreciate his nationality and the fact that it's obviously Paris because he is French. So probably that must be a thing that maybe wanted him to go back to his country. But yeah, I mean, I was a bit shocked when he went to PSG because I doubt he assumed he would be a starter. I think he would have known he would have been someone who starts on the bench. So. Yeah, I mean, some people are happy with that. I mean, people like Scott Sinclair, for example, at Man City, when he signed for Man City, he could not have said, "I'm going to start every game." A part of him would have said, "I will sit on the bench, take my wage, and
put up and shut up," sort of thing.
Yeah, I'll play enough games so that I can qualify for a medal, even though I've made no impact.
Yeah,
but it's like, but people can live like that. That's completely fine. It's up to them. But I think for me personally, I think I'd rather be playing, and I think that's what the ethos of a footballer would be to play. But I mean, it is a sign of the times.
We're seeing it more and more often, though, aren't we? Where players will happily take that paycheck and sit on the bench. You know, obviously, I imagine, you know, deep down they're probably thinking, "Come on, give me a chance." But you know, if you're playing, if you're sitting on the bench for that long and only playing 10 minutes here or there, surely there's got to be a time where you're happy to play 90 minutes every match. And okay, you're not going to win anything, but you're going to be loved at that club if you play well. You know, Johan Kabay, if he retires at Newcastle, he's potentially a legend there.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's like you say, it's the sign of the times. I think if the wages there aren't 80 grand a week and they're not much different from the one at Newcastle, then he probably doesn't leave. Like if PSG were offering like the exact same wages, maybe he wouldn't have gone. Like, so maybe that thing of, because if football's career is short, we must appreciate that. I mean, these guys are retiring at 30 something.
And also, I suppose you got to look at Johan Kabay didn't come through the Newcastle youth team. You know, he probably doesn't feel like he has to sort of got loyalty to them, as it were.
Oh yeah, of course. Like the point I made before, his nationality is French. So when you're playing in a different country, like if I was playing at Dortmund and a mid-table Premier League side put a bid in for me, maybe I'd think of going because I'd want to come back to England. Yeah,
definitely. Great analysis on the games, guys. But we'll get on to the next topic. I know it's a topic that a lot of people have been talking about recently, and it's English players and transfer/contract dealings. You know, we've seen, like we were saying earlier during the Liverpool analysis, Raheem Sterling reportedly rejected a 100 grand a week contract. We've seen this quite a lot, especially the last summer, because you know we saw Tom Inks going from different club to different club, like touting himself. And you know, what do you guys think of this? You see English players, you know, English players are ridiculously overpriced as well. We've seen this over the last few years, and the contracts. How can you justify 100 grand a week if, you know, you're not a standout player? And, you know, 100 grand a week's a lot of money to a team. And there's only a few teams in the league that are going to offer that money to a player who isn't standout ability.
Because he is Liverpool's standout player. He's not stupid. He's not a stupid lad. He's 20 years of age. He knows he's got a good 15 years left of football left in him. He knows that Liverpool are a team that are going to want to continue to try and get into the Champions League, and they're going to need the best players for that. He knows that over the last few years, Liverpool have had to sell their best players. Torres, Suarez. He knows that their best player in Steven Gerrard is coming to the end of his career and he's going out to retire in America. So he knows that as it stands at this moment in time, when Daniel Sturridge is out injured, he is the main man. Mario Balotelli's had a chance to come into the football club and be that main man, and he hasn't performed. It looks like he'll go in the summer. So there's another thing. He knows that the rifts, and he knows the problems in regards to what Mario Balotelli's brought to Liverpool. So he knows that Liverpool will probably be looking to sell him in the summer. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to want to sell him and Sterling. So he's doing everything he can to try and get as much money out of Liverpool as possible.
No, definitely. But my point
for it, somebody else will.
No, but my point being was, you know, you don't tend to get standout players. You don't seem to get players that would happily sit on the bench for another team that are standout players in another team.
But Sterling won't go. If Sterling goes to Arsenal, he'll play week in, week out. But he won't play up front. If he wants to go and play up front, I mean, look at Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck wanted to be a striker. He wanted to play up front for Manchester United, and he was told he wasn't good enough compared to Rooney, Falcao and Van Persie. He'd be third or fourth choice. He didn't want that, so he wanted to go to Arsenal. How often does Danny Welbeck play up front for Arsenal?
True.
He didn't start the last game. Look, Arsenal-Liverpool's a big game, and you want your game changers to be playing in that game week in, week out, the big football matches. Danny Welbeck didn't start.
But do you think, Andrew, this is one for you, do you think Raheem Sterling walks into your team?
That is a tough one, I'm not going to lie.
He's better than Walcott. He's better than Chamberlain.
No, definitely. I think he's better than Walcott and Chamberlain personally.
He walked straight into that Liverpool football team. He lived into the Arsenal football team without a shadow of a doubt because he's better than what they've got at the moment.
Yeah, but at the moment we've seen
week in, week out.
But at the moment we've been seeing players. For instance, Mesut Ozil, he's been playing week in, week out. And the way the formation's been set, Cazorla has to drop to the midfield to suit places. So I don't think he's pushing Cazorla out the team. I don't think he's pushing Ramsey out the team. I don't think he's pushing Sanchez out the team. And, then who do you shuffle about? Because obviously Welbeck's there as the sort of impact player. Giroud's going to be there. So I don't think that does leave a lot of space for him because Walcott isn't in the starting lineup at the moment. Chamberlain isn't week in, week out, even when they're fit. So, I don't know if he does walk into that team. Obviously, if they completely change the way they play and have 3 attacking mids and 1 striker, then potentially. But the way Arsenal play, that's not how they play at the moment.
The way Arsenal play and the way Arsenal have always played is with pace. That's what Arsene Wenger's like to. He had pace. On both wings, he had pace, week in, week out. But you can go back as far as you want with Arsene Wenger. He's always
No, definitely. But at the moment, we're not seeing...
because at the moment, he's not got that. So you can't play with pace if you've not got it. So he wants somebody with pace. So if you think about the way Arsenal play at the moment, and they play with pace, and if you think of Giroud up front and Sanchez on one side and Sterling on the other, that's the way Arsene Wenger would like to play his football. But at the moment, he's not got that Sterling. He had it with Walcott. He's always injured. He's lost that bit of pace. Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's a bit like Nani. 1 week, he looks like a world beater, and you think this kid's really going to kick on. And he goals a few games, you think, wow, he's amazing. And then he just dies away. It's the same with Aaron Lennon. You can go in weeks and weeks and weeks and think, Christ, this guy's a quality footballer. And then he disappears, and now he's out alone at Everton.
I agree 100% with what you're saying, but all my point was who moves out of the team at the moment to fit? Because I agree with what you're saying. We've always seen Arsenal with that strong place like Pires, Lundberg and stuff like that, and Henry. We've always seen that. But who moves out of the team at the moment? Like, what do you think, Andrew? Who moves out of the team at the moment to fit Raheem Sterling in?
My point was just going to basically be that no one, because I think, like the point you were bringing up then, when you look at the team that played at the weekend, you've got Sanchez on the right and you've got Ozil on the left. And I think Arsene Wenger will try till the day he retires or Ozil leaves for him to make Ozil a justified signing. Yeah. So he's definitely not dropping Ozil, and he's certainly not dropping Sanchez.
And I don't think he would drop Ramsey, because I think Ramsey was so good last year, and he's trying to... And I don't think Ramsey's been particularly bad, but I think he wants to play him into form. And I don't think you can justify dropping Cazorla because he's been so good. Yeah. So I think that leaves limited space for Raheem Sterling. That's all I was saying. And I agree totally. We saw him with Walcott last year before he got injured. Walcott was week in, week out. But that was different because Sanchez weren't there.
Yeah, because they, like I say, Sanchez has completely changed the dynamic and brought the pace that was obviously the pace that was spoken of before. So, I mean, for me personally, just as an Arsenal supporter, I can't look at that team and say, yep, Sterling definitely starts there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But Richard, who do you think you could see Raheem Sterling playing for other than Arsenal, for instance?
Nobody, because they won't sell him.
You don't think they'll sell him?
They won't sell him. Why? Why would they?
Oh, no, I agree,
He's got 20 odd months left on his contract. It's going to take a ridiculous amount of money for somebody to get him away. Is he worth 50, 60 million pound? No, he's not.
No.
Is he worth 150, 200 grand a week at 20 years of age when he's never really done anything in the game? No, he's not. Does Arsene Wenger want to waste 50 million pound? Does Man United want to waste 50 million pound? Does Chelsea want to waste 50 million pound? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I don't think he will go anywhere. I don't think Liverpool would be stupid enough to sell him to a rival.
I agree. I can't see Liverpool selling him sort of, oh, you don't want to be here, we'll let you go. Because, we saw the same thing with Suarez, until he left at the start of the season. But do you think it could come down to he hands in a transfer request and they have nothing to say other than, see you later sort of thing?
Yeah, but even if he hands in a transfer request, what does that mean? All that means is that he waives his right to his signing on fee.
Mm. So but for instance, obviously we
a bid.
Yeah,
you don't have to accept a bid from any football club.
No,
unless he's got a buyout clause in his contract. But then again, we saw that they didn't even do that when Arsenal breached that buyout clause with Suarez. They still rejected it. Mm. So if a football club doesn't want... Every player's got his price. Mm. Regardless of who you are, how loyal you are to a football club, every single player's got a price. Mm. But unless somebody pays a ridiculous amount of money for an unproven 20-year-old kid that, let's not forget, had to have a few weeks off a few months ago because he was too tired, who's going to pay it?
But all I'm saying is, we've seen the reports. Reportedly, he's rejected $100,000 a week from Liverpool. But there's no saying that, for instance, if Arsenal come in for him, he won't accept a lower contract because the reports are he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, but he wants to win trophies.
Yeah, but I'm saying, would he accept a sort of lower wage? Yeah, because obviously all the reports are saying...
For Chelsea or Man City, then yeah. Or a Man United. But Arsenal have won one trophy in the last 9 years. So it defeats the object going to Arsenal because Arsenal have got the same proven record in the last 10 years as what Liverpool have got of winning trophies. So unless he's trying to tout himself to go to a Chelsea or to a Manchester City or a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, then the whole of I want to go somewhere to win trophies means absolutely nothing when you go to a team that doesn't win trophies.
Yeah, but for instance, I think the benefits of Arsenal over Liverpool, and no disrespect to Liverpool fans, is with Arsenal, you're sort of guaranteed Champions League every year. So, for instance, if Sanchez did get a bad injury and Sterling was in the squad, he takes that place.
But they're not guaranteed Champions League football every year.
Well, but they have been for the last few years.
But they're not guaranteed Champions League football every year.
But they're more guaranteed than Liverpool.
It's only going to be a matter of time before we continue to go the way we're going, where English teams are being knocked out of the competitions left, right and centre. The English teams are not getting through the group stages. It's only going to be a matter of time before UEFA take away the 3 automatic places and the 1 extra. It's only going to be a matter of time where it is only the top 2 teams or the top 3 teams. So it could be 12, 18 months' time down the line where finishing 4th and 3rd doesn't guarantee your Champions League football. You've got to finish 1st or 2nd.
Yeah,
so there's no guarantee that anybody will ever... Who? Come on, let's be honest. Who would have thought 12, 18 months ago that Manchester United wouldn't have qualified for the Champions League?
Yeah, that's true.
Who this season, seriously, honestly, after the Liverpool season that they had before, who honestly thought that Liverpool wouldn't be at least qualifying for the Champions League this year? Who'd have thought Southampton had been in the running towards the end of the season? That's football. It changes all the time. So he can't turn around and say, I want to play I've played in the Champions League once. I want to now play week in, week out, so I'm going to go to Arsenal because they always finish in the top 4. What happens the first season Arsenal don't finish in the top 4? Does he now want to go to Chelsea because they finished in the top 4?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, obviously.
The lad is purely trying to get more money. It's exactly the same thing as what Wayne Rooney did at Manchester United. He wanted more money. Wayne Rooney knew that he was Manchester United's best player. Wayne Rooney knew that if he was put out there for anybody to buy, the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Juventus, anybody would have wanted him.
Are you sure he's not maybe just because let's be honest, last season we saw Liverpool dominate teams and he was part of it, and he was doing it to big teams as well. He was doing it to Man City and he was performing in the big matches. But do you think, because all we heard last season was how great Liverpool were and how much of a sort of world-class player in the making Sterling was, do you not think maybe that's gone to his head?
He's another English player that's been hyped up, and I hope and pray that Harry Kane doesn't become this type of player, because they've hyped up so many English players. You know, your Jack Rodwells, your Jack Wilsheres,
Ross Barkley,
your Chamberlains, your Walcotts, and they world beaters. They're the next thing since sliced bread. The only one that's actually really continued to be a quality footballer is Wayne Rooney over the last few years. Everybody else seems to have died away. Now, as it looks at the moment, both Spurs and England have got a player that could quite possibly go on and dominate world football for the next 10, 15 years in Harry Kane. However long Tottenham can keep hold of him for, that's going to be the main thing for them. They need to know that sooner or later somebody's going to come in with a ridiculous offer and take him away from that football club. So take him while you've got him, use him as the best you can. But if Harry Kane starts believing the hype and he starts believing the absolute drivel that I've heard on social media, with some pundits saying he's easily worth £100 million because he's had one good season in the Premier League. You know, let's not sugarcoat over things here. Kevin Phillips finished Premier League top goal scorer in his first ever season in the Premier League. He scored 30 plus goals.
He was a good player.
Nobody was turning around saying he was going to be a world beater and he was going to be the best player in the world and he was going to be worth 100 million. You know, if Harry Kane starts believing the hype, then Harry Kane will drop off just like Jack Rodwell did. And Jack Rodwell went to a big club and he sat himself in the reserves and he didn't play and he got less and less confident.
I think a lot of that was injury as well, wasn't it?
But it's not just with these players. We're talking.
No. It's a definite
players that went to
continuous
Chelsea.
thing. Yeah, I know.
You know, apart from Joe Cole, and Frank Lampard, look at the English players. You know, your Sidwells, your Scott Parkers. They faded away. They were on the brink of England international football, and they faded away by going to a big club. You know, Liverpool are a big club, but they're not the big club. So
I think we saw the same with like Wilfred Zaha as well, didn't we?
Exactly.
Because I think the minute they hit, I don't know if you agree, Andrew, the minute they hit a certain age, they have to be sort of earning a certain amount, they have to be winning a certain amount, and we see performances drop, but how can I put it? But their own sort of imagination growing. You know, they seem to think just because they can take it past one good player or have one good game, they're the Messi and Ronaldos of the game. What do you think?
I personally think we're giving footballers far too much credit, actually. I think we're talking as if the footballers look round and they know the net worth of all the players. For me personally, I think it's agents who are the problem. I don't think Raheem Sterling's not stood in the mirror telling himself how good he is.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got his agent saying to him, "Mate, you're the best thing ever. You've got to leave Liverpool because guess who gets a commission fee when he leaves Liverpool?"
And also, these aren't sort of singular agents working on their own. They often have, 10 plus players on their books. And if it's a sort of, oh, look what I got for this client, you're better than him. Look how much I could get for you and look how much you'd be earning. And a lot of players they don't have loyalty in them. They would go the minute they sort of saw a potential offer. So, but back to the Raheem Sterling point, do you think that he could walk into sort of any team in the Premier League that is challenging for Champions League football?
No, I wouldn't say he'd walk into Chelsea's team.
He wouldn't get in Chelsea's team. I think he would get into Arsenal's team. I think he would get into United's team, not as a striker, but as a winger.
I don't think he's ever going to go to a sort of big club and be a striker, is he? I just don't see that striker.
That's what he wants to do, though. This is what the whole point is with Liverpool. He wants to play up front. That's where he likes to play. He wants to be a striker. But when he's played through the middle and he's played up top, look how many chances he had against Manchester United United at home against Liverpool.
Yeah,
when we beat them 3-0. But that game, I think we talked about it. That game could have been 6 or 7 each. But every time Sterling got in one-on-one with a goalkeeper, he fluffed his lines. Now you'd expect a young kid to maybe miss one or two, unless you're Danny Welbeck. But he missed them all. And I'm joking there with Danny Welbeck. You'd expect Danny Welbeck to stick a couple in the back of the net, and he did miss 4 or 5, but he'd stick 2 or 3 in the back of the net.
Yeah.
But with Sterling, it seems to be it's 1 in 6, it's 1 in 7. He needs 6.
He just hasn't got that striker instinct, has he? And I also think, obviously, he's still young. He's not long of playing youth football. We've all seen. I don't know if you guys have seen it actually. That video of where he was playing for Liverpool youth team under 18s or something, and he scored like 6 goals. But there's a hell of a lot of difference between youth football and Premier League football. And one, he does not have the build to play striker. Yeah, he's strong, he's got his muscles, but up against someone like John Terry, he's getting pushed off the ball every time. You have to. There's
just clearly something. Look, at the end of the day, it's just clearly something with English players and the way they conduct their business. I mean, there's talk today that Jordan Henderson's turning down a new deal with Liverpool. there was talk 6 weeks ago that he was the next captain of the football club, and he was the messiah, and he was going to take them onto the next level and take them through the next 10, 15 years. He's now 2 weeks later turning down 80 grand a week. There's clearly
really
something not right at that football club. There's something not right in there, whether it's the manager, whether it's the way, things are being conducted. We could all see it at Manchester United. There was something fundamentally not right about.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with the whole Van Persie thing, where he was 1 week he was injured, and then
he didn't want to play.
Yeah,
he didn't want to play because there was something wrong. I mean, you had Rio Ferdinand coming out and saying things. People did. Even Marouane Fellaini didn't want to play for David Moyes. So if your players don't want to play, and the longer that the manager stays at that football, couldn't put it this way: if David Moyes stays in a job and he doesn't get sacked by Manchester United at the end of last season, do Manchester United have Di Maria, Falcao, Daley Blind, Rojo? Do we have these players still?
You probably have the Everton starting lineup, to be fair.
Exactly. Do we still have the likes of Wayne Rooney because he clearly wasn't happy? Do we still have Van Persie because he clearly wasn't happy? Do we have the ability to send Luis Nani out on loan and try and get some confidence back up in his home country and, try and build himself back up because he lost all his confidence.
I think it's a perfect example of, obviously you're a United fan, you know more than me, but it is the huge amount of pressure. At United, they're expected to do certain things. At Everton, they wasn't. So when you're finishing in the top 10, it's positive. When you're finishing in the top 10 for United, it's not great. When you're finishing out of top 4, it's not good.
Exactly. So obviously you've got to look at it now with Liverpool, is they've gone on this massive pedestal of we're going to win the Premier League. They fall flat and they win nothing when they should have won the Premier League. The year after, you've got your manager in press conferences saying, "Well, if you're a Tottenham Hotspur and you spend 100 grand, you should be challenging for the Champions League. You should be challenging for the top 4." Come 8 games to go to the end of the season, 7 games to go to the end of the season, it doesn't look like the team that supposedly 12 months ago was the best thing since sliced bread is going to finish in the top 4. So you've got your likes of Sterling and Sturridge and Henderson thinking, "Well, hang on a minute. If we don't get into the Champions League this year, Man United are only going to get better next year. Arsenal are only going to get better next year. Man City are, Chelsea are, Spurs are, Southampton are. So if we can't get into it this year, when predominantly Manchester United haven't played very well all season, Manchester City haven't played well all season, and it's only the last 10, 15, 20 games that Arsenal have really started to kick in and play football again. If they're struggling now, imagine what it's going to be like after Arsenal, Man United, City, Chelsea, Spurs, Southampton spend between 50 and 200 million pound on new talent in the summer.
Yeah, definitely.
And Liverpool can't bring in, we've got Champions League football. So, it's only going to be, so as a footballer, you're thinking, well...
And a lot of that was a lot of it was the Suarez money, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, do I stay here? Or as in Jordan Henderson, do I go to Chelsea? Do I go and play for Chelsea and I'm on 150 grand a week and I'm probably going to win a few trophies and play in the Champions League Should I go to Arsenal? I mean, if you look at the caliber of players that those two players are now currently playing with, okay, in Henderson and Sterling, when they play for Liverpool, look at the caliber of player that plays around them. Then stick either one of them in Arsenal or Chelsea's team, and look at the caliber of player that they're playing with there. You know, your Sanchez's, your Giroud, your Diego Costa, Hazard. It's a different world. It is a different world than playing with Kolo Touré and Joe Allen.
Yeah, definitely. Great topic there again, guys. And the final topic of the show is the Sky versus BT. Our opinion on who's the better broadcaster and why. Andrew, why don't you start us off on this? Who do you think's the better broadcaster and why?
Personally, I would. Excuse me. I would be more inclined to go for Sky. I think they've got pundits who know the stuff for a start, which is always a good thing. Sky supplies you with a news network of Sky Sports News.
Yeah.
So it's actually dedicated 24 hours. You will always be kept up to date in terms of the news. I think in terms of the football, I think it's a very Liverpool-dominated pundits, but still they're all equally just as qualified to be on there. And I think especially with Thierry Henry on there,
apart from Jamie Redknapp, obviously.
Well, of course, but he doesn't count, does he? So.
No, one a corner, but that's about it.
But yeah, I mean, I don't listen to Sky Sports presenters, like, they don't bore me, so that's always a positive. Whereas I think BT is known for its match day commentary not being of very exciting,
live,
and, on your edge of your seat. I think when we think of football celebrations in terms of last minute goals, the first thing that comes to my head is Martin Tyler's Aguero.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows the excitement, and we all remember Gary Neville's one when Torres scored at the new camp.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's more. When I watch Sky Sports, I think I feel more of the excitement and the actual, like, this is our lives and we want to talk about it. Whereas with BT, it's kind of, especially with the pre-match Fletch and Sav kind of.
It's awful. It's so awful.
There's kind of a looking round thinking, how long are we actually going to get away with this type of thing? That's what I tend to find when I watch BT. And like I say, the commentaries, like, I've got a very monotone voice, but I'm not trying to get a job as commentary on a football show. So for me personally, I think I'd go for Sky Sports.
Yeah, definitely. And also the Fletch and Sav show, which you obviously see on the early kickoff on a Saturday, when it's the early Premier League kickoff, is one of the most awful shows, especially for length as well. It's not like it's a sort of 45-minute show, you know, it's a good few hours. And you're listening to people who you just think, am I watching a football show? And the people that are on it, that, you know, the guests they have as well, they're not thrilling. They don't pull you in. They don't make you want to stay and watch. And okay, it's still new. There's still a few things to go through, but that's the thing that's going to bring people in. You know, these are the sort of shows that people are like, well, if it's only for the football, obviously, then people aren't going to just pay this. But if it's all the other shows which they enjoy, you know, that sort of pulls people in. What do you think, Richard?
I think Sky is the superpower as it stands at the moment when it comes to football broadcasting. I think, unfortunately, they've lost out on the rights to the Champions League as of next season, so I think that might make a bit of a difference. I don't think you'll see people converting over from Sky Sports. I think you'll probably just see a lot of people converting over to BT Internet, and that way then they get free BT Sports. So I don't think it's going to be a problem in regards to what you actually see and things. I don't think you'll see any pundits leaving to go to BT. No. But I think that the thing is, what you've got to look at is, it's happened before and it'll happen again. Somebody is, you know, we had Setanta Sport who tried to rival Sky. It was okay for a while. It was a novelty. Didn't work. If anybody remembers going back where the actual big games were pay-per-view on Sky at one point,
I don't actually. No.
You had to pay for. You had to pay extra for them. If it was United Liverpool, you had your Sky subscription anyway, where your West Ham v Notts Forest was on a Saturday or a Sunday. But if it was Man United Liverpool or the derby, or it was Tottenham versus Arsenal, you had to pay extra for it. It was Sky Box Office.
Wow.
That didn't work. You know, we then had ESPN. That didn't work. So BT seems to have done well. They've stuck around a bit longer than the others have done, and they seem to have got a few of the big tournaments, as I say. But
I think where we see a lot of it with things like Setanta Sport and ESPN, they were very sort of limited. They were the sort of the one Premier League match that they've taken from the Premier League, while Sky had the majority, where BT have come in and they've sort of built a full-on network instead of just that lone channel, because obviously they control the ESPN as well. So we're seeing all the American sports, you know, we're seeing the other European leagues, you know, the European Football Highlights show. You know, it's not just that one show it anymore. So
Well, that's the thing, is they're taking more and more football each season. So, you know, is it going to get to the point where maybe, just maybe, you know, Sky loses out on all the footballing rights? But I don't think they will, because they've got too much money, they've got too much power.
I'm very surprised that they got the Champions League, though, because I thought that was one of the main things. You know, this is going to really boost BT
We'll see
Sport.
now, won't we? We'll see now next season. We'll see what it's going to be like. You know, I mean,
That's true. Do you think people may just think, not too fussed anymore?
well, I don't know, but you know,
I definitely think the average viewer will. You know, for instance, teams like fans of West Brom, you know, if they have Sky Sports, they'll stick on the Champions League. If not, I probably won't be bothered too much, because obviously with this offer, if I'm not mistaken, it's exclusively on BT Sports, which means it won't be shown on ITV.
Yeah, it's BT Sport have got all the Champions League for the next 2 or 3 years, isn't it, from next season?
I personally don't think that should be allowed, though. Do you think? Because, you know, it should be at least one is shown on terrestrial TV for the free. Well, it's not free, obviously. We play TV license, but Freeview.
It's all about money at the end of the day. We've spoke about it previously. It's all about money, and obviously, ITV haven't bid enough for the Champions League. BT Sports have, so BT Sports have got it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. Regarding, I think we've all say pretty honest that we all prefer Sky Sports overall to BT. But what would you improve with BT, both of you, if you could, to make it the sort of the powerhouse, as it were?
Get rid of the presenters. Get rid of the pundits. They've obviously got the weak link. That's where it is. For me, they wouldn't have gone far wrong getting Richard Keys and Andy Gray in.
Yeah, I was speaking to my dad regarding that, and I thought that would have been perfect.
You know, but the likes of Michael Owen, how his wife has spent so many years with him, he's so boring. You know, they've got David James, they've got Owen Hargreaves. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, the calibre of people. I mean, I love the guy, but they've had Paul Scholes on there.
Yeah, he's not the sort of riveting.
There's no excitement, is there, from Paul Scholes? It's like, come on, Paul, have a bit of a laugh, mate. Show us a bit of something.
Yeah.
But there's nothing there, whereas Sky seems to have got the camaraderie, they've got the banter. I honestly didn't think how it would work with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, but I think they work brilliantly together.
Yeah,
I think
it's two players who can bounce off each other. They know they're rivals, and you see it often. But you're seeing rivalry, and you can see it. They're itching to say something against the other's team. But
you can just see as well with the like a lot of people thought that once Richard Keys and Andy Gray left, that was it. Then, you know, because they were the centre stone of Sky Sports. And they think, wow, Rich, you know, I'm going to turn on Super Sunday. I'm going to turn on Monday Night Football. And I'm not going to see Richard Keys. And I'm not going to hear Andy Gray's commentating. You know, I'm going to hear Gary Neville. Gary Neville's been superb. I think he's one of the best commentators there is,
I think
he's one of the best presenters.
I think he's personally the best English commentator that we've got at the moment. For the simple fact is, he gets involved with it. You know, I was thinking when I first heard Gary Neville, I was thinking, oh, United this, United that. But he's not. He's criticised United when they were playing terribly, and it was refreshing to see. You know, Carragher, as much as for the first few bits, it was Liverpool this and Liverpool that, but he stopped that. And we've seen him improve. But also, I think the big part of what makes me drawn to Sky Sports is the Soccer Saturday guys, because it's like a group of friends sitting around each other, shouting about sport, and that's what we all do.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think, Andrew? What do you think could be improved with BT Sport?
Yeah, I agree completely with the points just brought up. I think the infrastructure in terms of presenters, because like that's what we're watching for. Like how many times do you check social media at about 1:15, and so many people are mentioning the fact that they've actually muted the TVs because they just can't listen. It's a genuine point because they can't actually listen, because when you're watching football and you have commentary, you want someone to be quite ecstatic and stuff. So when you have someone who is boring you're gonna mute it, because why would you want to listen to somebody boring talk about football when you're trying to watch the match? So for me, I agree completely with what both of you were saying. I think people, they just need to sort out, I think, the pundits and stuff, like the guy who actually presents the 12 to 12:45, wasn't he a children's presenter at one point?
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I mean.
It's awful. It's just so. There's nothing like the one that's on Monday Night Football with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. I've never heard of him before, but he still sort of is more interesting than these people, because it's like they've picked people on merit rather than ability. Because they've picked, like, for instance, Rio Ferdinand. I don't know what he's like as a presenter, but he hasn't done anything to sort of make you draw him in the past. Gary Neville has always been really sort of Man United through and through, and was always sort of passionate about it. So it was going to be interesting whatever happened. You know, same with Carragher. But David James, what is the logic behind getting him as an ambassador for the show? You know, he's not one of these players which you look back and think, oh my God, I was in the times when David James was playing. You know, it's not. You know, he's not even one of them players who was amazing in his day. That's why I could understand why they'd get Paul Scholes, because he was a great player. But just because you're a great player, it doesn't mean you're good. But you've got that sort of experience to say, yeah, I've done it all and I'm a world-class player. But some of the people they have on it, it's just like, Sav, like, really? It's like, really? Like, Robbie Savage, it's like, why? It's like nobody's sat down with anything in history and said, you know what, this could be improved with Robbie Savage.
I think Robbie Savage, though, is the kind of Adrian Charles effect, where they've made it so they've made somebody who's so, like, bad to watch that people actually want to watch just to watch him be bad, you know, because that's what Adrian Charles was. Nobody said, I cannot wait to listen to the football predictions of Adrian Charles, and I can't wait to listen to his punditry and how he talks about the back line of a defence, because it wasn't that. It was, I want to watch him do something silly or make a stupid comment which makes no sense. Like, that's what they've done with Robbie Savage. They've just put a personality over the actual pundit.
Yeah. But sometimes it's best to sort of just have a brick wall instead of Robbie Savage, you know.
Yeah, true.
But let's we'll call that a day on the show, guys. But if you've listened to the end, thank you for watching. If you have any topics you want us to discuss, please leave a comment below or tweet us at Football Suite. And thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Cheers, guys. See you later.